for the benefit of the VOD, we are just setting up the posts, as you guys know, and then we'll be getting right into the stream. So give us just a sec to handle all of that. And having now done all the pings, we should have everyone here. So, I'm going to give it just a sec for everyone to turn up into the stream chat and to see where the viewers are at. And YouTube's not telling me how many viewers we have, so I'm just going to double check it on my phone.
Looks like 16 so far.
16. Is that enough to get started? Let's give it just a sec to see if anyone else turns up. Now it says 25.
Yeah, I think it updates every like 15 seconds or so.
Okay. Hello everyone. We're just waiting to see how everyone turns up to the chat, see what our base viewer count is before we get started so we don't have to repeat ourselves. Also, people don't miss out on anything crucial. Also, can we confirm in the chat, please? Can you hear my microphone? Is the volume acceptable? Is it too loud? Too quiet? If anyone has any opinions on that subject. Sound is good. All right. Thank you. Adamicus, can you talk a bit? And then let's hear how... can you guys please also give a report on how the my co-hosts also sound?
Hello. Hello, it is me. I am talking right now. Testing audio. Hello.
Everything sound good, everyone? Alrighty, well then, let's get this shit on the road. So, hello everyone, welcome to a Raising the Bar Redux developer stream. We haven't done one of these in a bit now, actually streaming a bit of development content. I suppose the most recent one we did was a Division 3 mapping stream, but it's exciting to be playing a release again, especially since the last one was the 7-hour stream 2 years ago. So how about that? With me today, I have a good chunk of my team. A lot of these people worked on the demo or have worked on RTBR by default, and therefore their work is carried over into the demo. I'm going to report my microphone's a bit loud, so I'm just going to turn that down just a smidge. Okay, so from top to bottom, first we have Arbab.
Hey, I'm Arbab. I did the blockouts for Depot 2, Depot 3, and I did a bunch of programming for the demo.
Alright, then we have Amicus.
Hello. I am the co-lead for RTBR and the Salvation lead. I'm a voice actor, sound designer, 3D modeler, V-scripter now. And basically just a modding general practitioner at this point.
After that, we have Bodhi.
Hello, I am Bodhi T, formerly Flash. I am a level designer and voice actor. For this division, I did a bit of Depot 3 art passing and some Vortigaunt voices. Hello.
Alright, and after that we have Game Boy 555.
Hey y'all, it's Eric Stark, also known as Game Boy 555. I've made the weapon HUD icons for the demo. Along with that, I worked on the trailer and for the full release, some posters and decals here and there. And I'm also the PR guy.
We also have Jared Simons.
Hi all, I'm Jared. I'm a newer programmer on the team, working on primarily NPC behaviors.
Then there's me, which doesn't need an introduction because you know who I am. We have Random Cat.
Hi, I sure do exist. I've been particulating on this team for 4 years now, and I've done possibly the most significant particulation for the for Division 3, and we'll be seeing quite a bit of that in the demo, and including one or two non-particle contributions, surprisingly.
Okay, and then we have Mars.
Hey, it's Mike, Nerdstore Mars, the general 3D modeler.
Okay, we have Suxar.
Hello, I'm Sexar, and I did Depot 01 blockout and some pieces of art pass.
Okay, then we have Teddy Saw.
Hello, I'm Tedosor, and I playtested Division 3.
And then last but not least, we have Wave.
Hello, I'm Wave, and I did some of the art passing for Depot Yard, and I'm a sort of a general level designer for the RTBR team.
All right, so I'm just going to kick up the stream for my developers as well, and then we're going to get the show on the road. So, just a heads up, one of my co-hosts here, Arbab, is in the Aussie time zone, which means it is rather late for him right now. We can expect to have a few hours of his time, but if we get to a point where he needs to go and there's something he hasn't talked about, you may see the demo change out of sequence a little bit. For those of you who this is your first developer stream watching, this is not like a commentated playthrough necessarily. We are specifically looking to break down how we made this thing, which means technical detail, and sometimes we will sit and look at one thing for 5 to 10 minutes at a time and talk about it if it was a particularly involved thing. So yeah, this is about your one-stop shop for the most possible detail you could possibly want from the developers playing this here thing. You can also see here for any plans we have about what we're going to do regarding feedback or future plans that are not spoilery in nature. Okie dokie. So, we're going to kick off by first starting up the background map. I think it's background 03. No, 02. Is it? Yeah, it's underscore 03. Okay. So the person who made this background map is not here today. This was RZDat who made this one. This is based off a piece of Half-Life 2 concept art, which depicted the Hyperborea and some soldiers on board it. This is keeping in line with what we do on RTBR, which is our background maps are all based off of pieces of concept art. At the moment, that is our consistent goal with all of the background maps. They will each be based off of pieces of Half-Life 2 concept art remade in this way. You can see this with our Division 1 map as well, which is the interior of the Citadel from a piece of concept art. So, yeah, there's a few scenes that go on this map, and I won't sit through all of them, but you can see, as I say, what we're looking for. So, we're going to get started with the depot. The first map of the demo is the Depot Yard.
Power 50%.
So obviously we get quite a lot of weapons right off the bat. I'm just going to let the HEV suit finish talking.
60%.
Okay, so we're probably going to be in this hallway for a little while as we talk about some of the weapons. We'll talk about some of them a little bit briefly, and then I'll aim to demonstrate them in gameplay, and we'll talk about it in more depth there. This map in general was worked on by it was blocked out by Scorley, and then when it was art passed and more work done to it in terms of progression and some other entity stuff, that was primarily Normaz Yebeni and Wave handling the art passing of this map and taking it through for being demo ready. Normaz primarily handled the first chunk of this map, so everything leading up to the outside portions, and then Wave handled most everything after that. So as we go through, I don't think Normaz is with us today, but we can just enjoy some of the art passing here. For a little fact about Normaz and why I thought he might be a good bet for our art passing for the demo, and for the depot wasteland specifically, part of Normaz's application to the team featured a take on a Disco Elysium / Revachol themed Garry's Mod map that was very visually striking and used a lot of like large sand dunes and that sort of thing. And it was like, well, this looks like an obvious fit for the wasteland, doesn't it? So we're going to go on from here then. So this is our first antline we see technically alive in RTBR, or at least that is playable by people, since you will see them earlier in the Division 3 lineup. We have one here that dies in front of the turret, and gives you a little bit of a peek of what could be coming for them. Pick up this battery here. So I flicked through a few weapons already, but you might notice that something in the middle of my screen is changing every time. That's colloquially we call that crosshair in the in development. And so Random Cat, would you like to talk a little bit about each of these different weapons and their crosshairs?
Oh yeah, by all means. So.
Sorry, Random Cat, you're very quiet.
I tried to pull myself down a little because I seemed loud, but that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so these crosshairs, they started life in the vector graphic software Inkscape. I started designing them there. Then I imported them into the engine as like a bitmap sheet. I used the uncompressed 8-bit grayscale format so that they had the best quality they can while also minimizing their file size. And as for the actual designs, I largely started with the Half-Life 1 crosshair designs. I'd screenshot them, trace them out, adjust them as I saw fit, and then sort of assign them to the weapon that it made the most sense for. Some received quite a significant adjustment, most notably the submachine gun crosshair, which became the most generic SMG and the rifle crosshair. In Half-Life 1 it was like these 5 dots, and I thought that's lame, so I did this to it. Some weapons they just didn't have anything that fits, so I had to design something from scratch, like the immolator and the fizz gun. You can see it's got those prong things, and then also the unarmed. If you equip the crowbar, this one, I decided to have it be the new generic one to replace the one that's also when unarmed. And it's also used by the melees and throwables and such. What else? Yeah, I had to scale up the quick info bars to accommodate the bigger crosshairs. So there's that as well. And I tried to they're kind of appear to be subsections of a circle, which produces a really nice aesthetically pleasing effect, sort of with especially those kind of things. And also, last thing, these have technically been shown before in our April 1st TTT stream, and nobody noticed, which is really funny. But yeah.
All right. So that's on the crosshairs. Obviously, not just the weapons in the demo have received custom crosshairs, but the others have been removed from the sheet for the time being, so as to not spoil them in advance. But as you get more weapons in RTBR, you can look forward to seeing what nice little design Random Cat has come up with for that weapon, and what class it belongs to. Okay, we're going to progress from here. Am I playing on hard or... Alright. Let's play on normal. I see a question about the puzzle design back there, the reason for the pistol ammo box, and basically it's just to make sure that the player doesn't run out of ammo and can complete that puzzle. Pistol ammo, particularly in this area, is relatively inconsequential at this point in the game, so we can pretty safely give the player an infinite supply of it and it not throw balance out of whack. Whereas even the SMG, for example, is a little bit too good to just be given tons of ammo for. This is the only head crab in the demo, I think, this one here.
I think they might be talking about the design of the pistol ammo box. I think it's just something we didn't replace yet.
Yes, we do have our own ammo box that's used for grenades and is used in Division 2. We just didn't adapt it to the pistol one yet. So that will be replaced, and that will be the design we use for all of them. So we're coming up to a pretty tough combat set piece here. I'm going to use some of our new guns in this demo.
Yes, we're paying attention to the chat, unknown entity. We're marking down questions, and we'll do rounds of answering questions when we reach a good stopping point.
Oh, hello.
Took me a long time to realize that this courtyard actually wraps around itself, and you don't actually go much further than you come in.
Yeah.
It feels a lot bigger than the area actually is.
Alright, I think we're out of the bulk of the combat now, but I think I might just do I have to stuff the platform back up? Get into that tower? I don't. I'm just gonna no-clip back up so we can go have a look in that tower a bit as well, since I didn't look at it on my way through the first time. Yeah.
The Crower.
Yes.
Add that to the iceberg.
Absolutely should. Alright, so we've cleared the bulk of the fighting here. So let's just gonna no-clip back over to this area here now. So talking about all the various things we've seen out here, we've seen a few things obviously. We've seen our workers introduced, although that one still seems to be knocking around. Afraid of tackling me. We've used our towel cannon a bit, the OICW's alternate fire, the Steambow as well, and that's almost all the new weapons to be introduced here. Enough out of him. So, starting with the towel cannon, we obviously had a much older model for this some years ago, but this was remade by Val, and we kind of got a different take on the whole design. It's a little bit more rustic but still implies a bit more construction than the Half-Life 1 one. It's less of a prototype, more of something put together. This will be introduced on the Jeep in Division 3, and you will gain it as it is as the Jeep is taken from the player via some method. Usar, of course, did the firing sound and the other sound effects for it. As Usar conducts most of our weapon SFX. After that, we have the OICW, which is your workhorse weapon in this division, and probably from this point onwards. When you have ammo for this thing, it's good to use it and to take out large groups of enemies. It has a lot of different firing modes. We have, of course, the primary fire. But we also have the scope fire, which fires more accurately and more slowly, and gives you a bit more range to work with. And then lastly, we have the alternate fire, the grenades, which are actually on a secondary ammo and magazine system. You basically can carry 6 grenades in total, but then we balance this doubling of the player's possible reserve grenades by putting in the magazine system, which also keeps it more true to how OCW works in real life. And then lastly, we have the Steambow, which is probably the most original of the weapons that we've introduced here, since this was probably the most involved in terms of its new design, and also in terms of its actual functionality as well. So this thing was modeled by Joseph and became a double-barreled sort of thing that fires 2 bolts at once with a cocking cocking animation in between. Meanwhile, the reload itself takes longer than Half-Life 2's crossbow, which is balanced by, like I say, having 2 bolts in the magazine in the first place. Then it also has the alternate fire, which is basically a charged AoE attack. Since you will obtain this weapon before you get into the Antlion Caves in Division 3, we expect this weapon to get most utility there. And then in the depot, it's pretty handy as a weapon for dealing with large groups of soldiers. So there's a few people to summon to talk about some of these weapons. Although I think it's actually largely just Random Cat for who's currently in the room. Yeah, I think it is. So Random Cat's going to have a bit to say for a while. So Random Cat, why don't we kick off with the Gauss gun?
Yeah, by all means. So the tower cannon. This thing is my absolute favorite Half-Life gun ever. So I really want to do it justice. It's like this. It's notably this kind of really. The concept of what it fires is kind of abstract. So I had a lot of creative freedom to just go nuts with it. And I largely went for Half-Life 1 influence. And the most obvious part of that is the beam and the fact that it's always connected to the muzzle, even if you're moving around. I did this just because I think it looks. I honestly think it looks better than if the beam just kind of disconnects and is kind of hanging in the air. Because the end of it just kind of abruptly ends. But here it's it feels a bit more natural somehow. And what else? The beam effect has a little subtle tracer effect, which is partially a reference to Half-Life 2's Tau cannon on the Jeep having having a tracer alongside the actual beam, which is kind of bizarre, but I thought it looked kind of neat. I thought it kind of helped give the beam direction. It's a visual language. That's where the beam is going. What else? So if you go back to host timescale 1, the charging effects. I got inspired by Black Mesa's charging effects. You can see on the capacitors there, the spinny ones, there's a kind of twirly orange glow effect that starts fading in. So I did that to accentuate the whole spinning motion. What else? Oh yeah, there's a rarely missed detail where there's dust coming out of the fan on the back whenever you're charging a shot or when you fire. Which I think is also, I just thought it would be neat to do that. Is that everything? Yeah, I guess that pretty much is. Yeah, I just wanted to make something that was just super fun to look at, and just felt super satisfying to use.
Yeah. And then I guess we'll talk about this whilst we're here as well. Arbab is actually going to be able to talk about the functions of some of these weapons now that I think about it. So let's talk about this, since this is going to be an Arbab and Random Cat shared thing. Let's give Arbab a talking, and then Random Cat can about how it works, and then Random Cat can talk about how it looks. So of course, the Tau Cannon can regain ammo by being charged from suit charges, which was our way of balancing its power. So Arbab, would you like to talk a bit more about this?
Yeah, so when you hold a reload or when facing a suit charger, you gain ammo. It's fairly self-explanatory. It drains the suit charger charge at a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every 2 points of suit charger charge you use, you get 1 ammo for the Gauss. We did this because we found that in testing, it was really overpowered if the Gauss got 75 ammo, as it's a very, very powerful weapon. It can kill anything in one attack, whether that be a primary or a charged attack. And yeah, so that's how the suit charger function works.
Okay, and Random Cat?
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. So there's like a few layers to it. There's the sort of electrical arc sort of connecting from like the point on the suit charger. I had to modify the suit charger model to add the attachment point for that. And then, so the electrical arc is just kind of, I made it to be like this sort of chaotic thing. You see there's a glow, there's an intake sort of effect, and there's all these little particles going in. I think the most interesting part of this is that I ran into like an interesting technical issue where if you were too close to the wall, some of the effects would appear to like clip into the wall because like in the world they were actually like technically in there, because attachment points on view models especially are wacky. So the way I handled that is I made a few copies of the relevant materials with the ignore Z parameter, which basically makes them draw on top of everything else, which is like the same thing used for like glow effects and such. So yeah, I think it turned out really cool. Like when I showed it internally, several people were like, "Holy fuck, that's cool!" Yeah.
Here we go. So that is the full breakdown of the Gauss gun. Arbab, would you like to talk about the OSCW's functions a bit as well? As we'll come down here, there's not much fighting, so we'll just fight the couple of small enemies that are here whilst you talk about the OSCW.
Yeah, so actually I'll let you use a scope on some enemies. Yeah, so it's not really shown here, but the OSCW's scope has a pretty interesting mechanic where the first 3 shots are fairly accurate, and the rest get worse accuracy. So the first shot is pinpoint accuracy, and the next 2 shots have a spread of 0.5 degrees, and after that you get pretty crap accuracy. We did this to encourage more sniping gameplay with the scope, because you could just spam down soldiers with the scope at long range, but also because the original spread was like quite high, it felt unreliable to use at long range, which defeated the point of a scope in the first place. So I thought that we could add inaccuracy mechanics to the scope, and it turned out to play out really well.
All right.
And so a secondary grenade clip. As you can see, you have 2 grenades in the clip and 6 grenades in reserve. This mechanic was originally designed by Iridium, and I cleaned it up and added the reserve ammo counter. It was a bit of a pain to deal with our current HUD, because our HUD doesn't use fonts and it's not a conventional HUD. But yeah, after all that, I think the secondary grenade clip turned out really well as well. And of course you can reload it manually by pressing T. Yeah, that was before you just had to expend both grenades and it would reload, but nobody liked that.
Alright. Also, because you get given all the weapons at once, I just realized that the first time pickup animations did not play, so let me just play those as well. There's the OSCWs. Here's the Tau cannons. And here's the Steambows. Okay, so as we talk about the Steambow, actually, let's talk about the Steambow after this crate area, because this encounter is not so good for the Steambow. It's more the Tau Cannon's wheelhouse. So, we'll use the Tau Cannon a bit more, and then we'll talk about the Steambow after this encounter. So, Wave, we're coming up on really your largest contribution to this demo here, this entire warehouse area. Would you like to talk about this as we start getting into it?
Yeah, this is probably like my main contribution. Is said this was a good couple of months of my life making this warehouse, stacking up endless boxes. This is where all your Amazon deliveries got lost to. It was a tough area to design, as Source has a lot of limits, a lot of brush limits. And I started off by making these very cool, quite detailed looking crates made out of brushes. And then everything kind of ended up sort of breaking. You hitting the brush limits almost instantly. So I turned like literally everything into props. So all these crates you see around here are like propered crates. They were kind of designed to be quite detailed, so you can look them up close, but they have got little LODs that they sort of exchange into as you get further away. Yeah, it's a tough area to kind of put together, but the idea is I designed it more like a skybox. So the main playable area is very detailed, whilst the further away you get, everything kind of gets a little kind of less detailed. A lot of the crates over here have very little detail. Some things are floating, some things you can't even see, some things aren't even drawn, because it's a huge area. I think the actual size of the storage area is about the kind of size of most of the maps actually in Division 1 and Division 2. It's absolutely huge. Yeah, it's a cool area. I think, yeah, the arting of it, I got a lot of inspiration from Indiana Jones, looking it through like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, looking through the fight in the Area 51 arena there that they have. So I thought, yeah, we'll kind of base off of that. Giant crate arena, had the classic wooden crate look. But yeah, it was a good fun bit of area to art, but it's a lot of work.
Okay. Wave, if as we're playing through here, this is really your wheelhouse, although we will talk about the Hunter variant as well. So if you have any particular areas you want to talk about, you are more than welcome. So we're going to enter this encounter now. This is our... I was going to turn off the triggers. We have our Hunter variant there, and we have our ordinary Hunters up on top of these boxes. You turn up the music as well. So, before we progress, let's take a second to talk about the long-range hunter. I'm just going to... Actually, you know what, we'll progress a bit whilst the music's still going. As opposed to a cutting here, just talk about long-range hunter. Okay. So the music's now done, and I'm going to take us just down here in a minute, and into this arena here.
I think there might be another long-ranged hunter ahead as well.
There is. I figured we could talk about him in a more isolated environment. So to make sure God mode's on, and Arbeb, would you, once I've spawned him, you can go ahead and take it away. I think we have nodes that should allow him to jump down here. No, we don't. Okay, so I'm going to just spawn him up here then. How do I turn off the AI nodes again? What the hell?
You just have to wait. It takes a bit.
There we go. Okay. NPC create NPC hunter.
Boom Donuts. Yes, there was a new demo release for the mod. It's out on ModDB.
Mm-hmm. The Long Range Hunter is a new variant of Hunter based off of the Mini Strider from the Episode 1 version of the Hunter code. Arbeb, would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, so the long range hunter, as you can see, takes a bit to charge, and once it fully charges, it peppers you with high damage and projectile hit scan attacks, not projectile. Sorry. Originally, this was designed, the hit scan part was designed by Iridium, but I gave it a charge up time, and also increased the number of shots that it does from the normal hunter. The normal hunter fires 8 shots. The long range hunter fires 12, and because the long range hunter does more damage per attack, it means that if you stay out in the open, you will get shredded. But fun fact with the hunter, just the hunter in general, there was a bug with the Tau cannon that if you charged it up and fired it against a hunter, oh, you have 1 ammo. It did double damage because the Tau cannon projectile code, penetration code, sorry, wasn't checking for the entity, which made the hunters really easy to fight. This has since been fixed, but both some other bugs with the Tau cannon.
Yes, so this is a known issue that is now fixed. So we should expect this to already be fixed for the full release. There you go. I'm going to melt this one and then be on our way. The intended dichotomy with these hunters is that the normal hunters will push the player out of cover, and the long-range hunters will punish the player for not being in cover. So in the end, the idea is it will force the player to prioritize one or the other in order to survive the encounter. Okay. So now we're progressing into this area here. I got mode on, didn't I? That's fine. Doesn't matter. Alright. I think we can probably start talking about the Steambow a bit. So like I said, the Steambow is one of the more unique weapon designs that we've got going on here in the demo. I think I just bounced off a bit of clipping there, my bad. So the idea is to put a different take on the classic crossbow. And like I say, the alt fire is, I think, going to be most useful against the ant lions, which is where you will get it in the full Division 3 roundup. So, Arbeb, would you like to talk about the programming behind this weapon?
Yeah, so if you're not hearing it, there's a little idle hum on the Steambow. Yeah, so if you're not doing anything with the Steambow, like firing or charging it, this idle hum just lasts forever, pretty much. We felt it gave the Steambow, a bit of character, you should be able to hear the steam, running around, being pressurized and all that. But also, it has a 2-round magazine, and the barrel rotates with every shot you do. The Steambow has, I think 3 different captains made. One for empty, and one for if you have 1 round in the mag, so that's 2 actually. I got it mixed up.
It's got 3 for if you only have 1 in reserve as well. But you have an empty chamber. There we go.
Yep. And also you can do a charge attack to do an area effect. And the longer you charge it, the more damage and the damage and radius gets increased. For those who like numbers, the damage starts at I think 10% for Steambow's normal damage. The radius starts at 128 units, and that scales up linearly. And also, you have the scope, if you press mouse 3, as per normal, with a really cool refraction effect done by Random Cat Dude. And also, all the scopes in the demo have a little zoom in and overlay effect, as well as a sound, which we felt gave it a little bit of flair, as you're just not flicking to a specific field of view.
Alright. Before we go on to talk about particle effects, Amicus, you were fairly involved in the actual design of this. So in lieu of Joseph being here, would you like to talk about the design of this weapon a bit?
Yeah, so Joseph did all of the actual work of the like how this looks and everything, but I mean, except the Zen crystal on the inside, that's my work. But everything basically here was stuff that I kind of concepted up of I was looking at the original concept art for the kind of Steambow looking thing that looked like a little render, and I saw like it had the single barrel down the center, and then it had 2 supports on the sides, and I was like, it'd be interesting. What if we just flipped it? What if we made it have 2 barrels and made the kind of support rotational thing in the center? And it just makes it so the long reload is a bit more justified, gives you more to work with before you have to reload again. And then for the alt fire, so something that we do quite often is we try to give a lot of our weapons something interesting, or something fun to kind of play with. And this alt fire was something that I just kind of came up with about us having an electrical weapon, because we have the Tau cannon, obviously, that has some sort of like electrical kind of effect, but it's not electricity like this one is. So not only does this radius affect like AoE, but it also stuns most enemies that are inside of it, so they kind of stop in their tracks for a moment. This type of thing comes very, very useful when there's a group of enemies, and kind of just allows you to stop them, and it'll kill basically everybody in the radius for at least minor enemies. So, yeah, generally just the Steambow just having more interesting features to it rather than just being the crossbow again. Because the crossbow in Half-Life 2 is serviceable, but I wanted something more in line of Half-Life 1's crossbow, where you have multiple shots before you have to reload, things like that. And we're always taking more inspiration from Half-Life 1's combat style anyway, so.
Yeah, there we go.
There's those sharpened off rebar. I like to imagine that somebody's got a giant pencil sharpener.
There you go, giant industrial pencil sharpener able to make these things.
Yeah.
And yeah, someone's asking about the Zen crystal.
Yeah. The Zen crystal on the inside is we were trying to find some way to justify the electrical bolt just having energy to it, and Zen crystals are perfect for that because they're just magic. So the inside here, when the reload happens, you'll see there's a Zen crystal kind of placed in the middle here. So what's happening is Joseph is a little bit more knowledgeable about how this thing works, but basically, as you hold down the thing, these rebar bits get kind of supercharged with Zen energy, and I imagine it's probably the same kind of deal as I guess Vortigaunt zapping and stuff like that. where it gets charged like this. But basically, just magic, Zen magic, yeah. And yeah, I made those crystals as well. That were, I think we showed those in our supporters chat a while back. But there's the reveal for the for at least a little bit of one of the crystals that we have.
All right.
Yeah.
So, let's progress. Actually, no, we're not going to. Random Cat, your turn now for particles on the Steambow.
Yeah. So, starting off least exciting, sort of, there's the trail effect on charged shots.
Okay.
There's like the blue glow attached to them, and the trail. There's actually two of them. That's funny. I think the code sign has like accidentally calls it twice, which whatever. So then a bit more exciting. There's the charging. So it's like this sort of. I largely referenced like what real sort of electrical sparks and such look like when like short circuit happens or whatever. Because if any of you ever seen the electro boom, you know what I'm talking about. And there's also a red glow that sort of implies the battery's getting really hot from like resistance, presumably electrical resistance that is. And of course it remains a bit after you release it. I just think that looks neat. And then the main course, the big area of effect thing. Very involved little effect there. There's lots of details. There's like the glow in the center. There's electrical arcs coming from like the center. There's a sort of like ground aligned plane that's sort of meant to indicate feeling. That's sort of where it's like the area is covering. The initial impact has like also like a thing to that. There's a layer of particles sort of covering the surface to sort of really indicate where exactly the area of effect is. That was largely inspired by the if any of you played Deep Rock Galactic, the scout class there has a inhibitor field grenade, I believe, that spawns like this field that slows things down inside it, and it's got that same sort of like layer of particles covering the surface. So yes, that's for the particles, I believe. And of course there is the scope, which I made. I made this using Material Maker, which is a free open source alternative to Substance Designer, which made it pretty easy to make this because it's like a graph. Well, it's like a graph sort of thing. That doesn't matter for the non-technical people or the people who haven't messed with those sort of tools. But yeah, that's how I did it. It made it fairly easy to iterate on it and get it into this sort of nice-looking state. It is like my first time making something like this, so I will probably iterate on it further, but yeah, it looks pretty nice in it.
Alright. Let's progress.
I saw somebody comment on all the view model animations. Those were all done by Silent. He's very, very talented view model animator.
Yeah, Silent is the view model animator for almost all of our weapons, and his animation work is superb. He doesn't have a microphone, so I guess he wouldn't be talking here even if he was, but he is still, as usual, carrying a significant style with the weapons. Really great work with it.
Glassy line on the YCW.
Alright, and before we leave this area, a quick overlook at the whole thing.
I don't know if you want to talk about the optimization of this particular view, because obviously there's a lot you can see. This particular area, I think, back in the development build was about 100 FPS max, but it's now pretty decently stable. There's a lot of like hidden tricks to hide away props and stuff. Like some of the props are just completely facades. They're just literally a wall, as it would be. There's a lot of hints and skips to help the engine be a bit more optimized for this particular area. And again, as I said before, that kind of skybox style design principle of keeping everything further away, very low detail, has helped to keep the final view of the storage area nice and optimized, so you can enjoy it before you head off, play the rest of the demo.
Yeah. Alright. Let's progress upstairs then.
Love our ICW.
Oh yeah.
This is the first kind of division portion that I don't almost exclusively use the pistol, because the OICW is just so fun to use.
Yeah, it's very useful. Gonna charge up the tail cannon and then use the remaining charge on the suit. This room's an interesting one. I'm just gonna bring up. I wouldn't usually talk about design on a room by room basis, but this one's an interesting example of how rooms iterate as things are blocked out. So when this map was first blocked out, this room basically had you go straight through these doors with a button, and you just went straight through there. And this entire upper area just had the charges and the item boxes. What we found in testing was testers felt like the player should be forced to go up here in order to basically use the space in the room a bit more. And so what we did in our second round of blockout is there was a button up here, a bunch of cables in very traditional Valve fashion that led to this door, and this door wouldn't open until you pressed this button. Then you could drop down here, go through the door, and be on your merry way. But the third problem that we found with playtesting of this map is this room introduces the concept of dropping grenades in the antlion holes to destroy them, which is a concept that we borrowed from a few places. I guess most notably NGP02, and then the concept of the antlion holes in general being something borrowed from episode 1. So what we then found is if the we needed to teach the player better about the antlion holes. We try to develop RTBR as if you are playing this without having played Half-Life 2. So we try to teach you the function of enemies, including and mechanics, including base game mechanics and enemies. We try to teach them to the player. It's all towards the goal of RTBR being a stand-in for Half-Life 2 as opposed to purely something for Half-Life veterans only. So we have some soldiers now throw a grenade in this hole. It probably needs to be a little bit more consistent than it currently is, but that's the idea. But the fourth problem we found in testing was after we did that, with the switch up here in the upper area, forcing the player to go up here, obviously, to use up the space in the room, the player now, there's a very good chance they would press this button, this door would open, the soldiers would blow up the hole, and then you would just miss it because you were up here and you didn't get downstairs in time. And we experimented with various delays and stuff, and I think we settled upon a delay that was most like what we expect players to take. But the fact that it could at all still be missed was not ideal, because this is a mechanic we need to teach the player. So in the end, things kind of came full circle, and the switch is now back down here. But with an adaptation in playtesting to actually put this hole up here. So we see that the Combine have blocked off this area. There's some crates here so that prevent you from accessing. So you still have to go up here and come down here, press this button. So it's all in all, it's not exactly mechanically complex. This room is, I don't think, going to make anyone, you know, like, struggle. It's not that complicated as it comes, but that's just a microcosm, I suppose, of all the decisions that end up getting made during the testing process for any division and for any release. We kind of keep seeing these things, and we iterate and we iterate and we iterate until we stumble across a solution that we think is probably the best thing and worth shipping with, and that's what we got here. So I'm going to turn this on, and we're about to see what I just said in action. We're going to see if these soldiers are reliable enough to throw a grenade in the hole this time. There we go. One of them managed it. Except he didn't. That's great. Let me just toss that in there. Right. So we're going to see an effect that Rand will talk about in a minute. So I'm going to deliberately leave one of the antlion holes alone. Well, that was clever. Right, 1 minute. Let's do this again. Let's see how these soldiers get on this time. How reliable are they going to be? Ah, there we go. I think they all managed it this time. Woo! Okay. I'm going to leave all these, and we're going to turn on no target, and we're going to show off the last hole, since that one is a effect from random cats. I think these are all blown up. Yes. Okay, so these antlion holes, obviously you blow them up, and it is nice and all that you can just blow them up and for a normal explosion effect, but we actually did something a little bit different to give it a bit of unique visual feedback. Obviously, there's a little heat distortion that comes out the top, but then when you throw in a grenade, you see a unique plume of smoke goes up, a little explosion, and then behind, as we see in all of the other holes, there's this fire and this leftover smoke. So, Random Cat, would you like to talk about this effect a bit more?
Yeah, well, you kind of pretty much said everything I could have said. There's like... It's like this, the idea being that there's like a unique visual language. It's like, oh, there's something unique happened here, and the residual fire. So it's like there's like a unique, satisfying explosion. There's like there's like a bright glow, fire, and then debris scattering everywhere. And then you have this sort of unique plume of smoke and residual fire indicating to you that there's going to be no more no more leggies coming out of there anymore.
Here we go. Okay, so we're about done with Depot Yard. Let me just press this button to open this door over here. We'll take some questions before moving on into Depot 01. Flash, let's go. Hit me.
We have questions. Ancient Knowledge asks, will this game also have multiplayer later on like Half-Life 2 Deathmatch?
It certainly would be cool if we could do game nights on our own mods, but that's not something we're putting a serious amount of work into, because obviously the priority must be just making the normal game, right? So...
Quirrell asks, do you have any plans to use HD 4K textures?
No. It's file space inefficient, and 2K does the job just fine for fidelity, and we actually try to go for less these days. Okay.
Jason Lore asks, what was your inspiration of the courtyard area at the beginning mission of the Division 3 demo?
So when that area was first blocked out, like the gameplay, I think the inspiration was we've got hostiles. A lot of surface-side combat like that. But we also see combat like that in some of the WC Map Pack Depot maps with a lot of topside combat. In some places, particularly the entrance maps. So a variety of inspirations, I would say.
Kiko Ono asks, will the weapons get further balance changes in the future?
Well, like we said earlier, the Gauss gun already had a bug that was making it way more powerful than it should be, particularly against hunters. This is now patched, so that's one example. And then what we will find is we'll kind of look at testing feedback. We'll see what weapons people like to use, what weapons people don't like to use, and then we will talk in development about, you know, do we expect players to have 100% uptime on, say, the Steambow? We probably don't. So is it fine that people don't have 100% uptime? What is the ideal uptime for this weapon? There's a variety of decisions that go into balancing, and so we can expect there to be some changes in either the positive or negative direction for each weapon. And it's an ongoing process as well. A weapon might be balanced against most enemy types, but once we introduce a new enemy type, either the enemy type or the weapon might need new balancing to account for it. So it's complicated balancing a whole new sandbox, but yeah, I would expect it to be some changes.
Dane Pace asks, is that antlion spit sound derived from the Hydra idle sounds?
Right now, it's the same as episode 2. I think we will be aiming to have brand new antlion SFX eventually, as with all of our NPCs and all of our a lot of our world details. Since we are a total conversion, we are aiming to push it to that extent. But yeah, right now it's just from episode 2.
HEV Suit Cat asks, will there be the Lost Coast section?
I don't think we are specifically doing Lost Coast in any capacity. There's been some discussions about maybe references to it, but nothing concrete right now.
Null asks, how will the Combine dropship be changed for this mod?
So we basically figure that the dropship that you see in Half-Life 2, we figure in RTBR that fits in as probably a heavy load dropship, so it will be dropping off APCs, Striders, that sort of thing. And then the dropship type we see in the beta, we interpret as being more of a troop transport type thing. Although we've not yet executed on either of these ideas, when we do, that's what we're currently thinking we'll be doing with that.
Normal User asks, how would the air exchange fit in for the future?
It's in Division 4.
The Enceladus channel, brackets cooler, asks, will we see Barney's contact from the beginning of the game again in Arex?
I wouldn't have thought so. Not sure how he would have gone to the Arex.
He gets captured at the beginning.
I suppose, but the Arex is not necessarily a prison. There's probably he's probably just being held in City 17 somewhere, or was executed, or shot, or stalkerized,
turned into a stalker.
Yeah, or
fair enough. So if you're wondering what happened to him, there you go.
Yeah, or any one
you
of
meet
a
him
million
later
other
as a
fakes.
stalker and you shoot him in the face. I'm kidding. That's not real. That's not an announcement.
Null asks, will all Combine-related synths, props, and aesthetics be changed and made uniform with the beta aesthetics?
We're actually remodeling a lot of Combine props within our own style. Now, for the record, we plan for the Citadel and that sort of thing to have a very unique style again. Right now, we're in this transitory period where not every synth has been remodeled, and not obviously every Combine prop has been remodeled or touched up with retextures and that sort of thing. But long term, we would like to remodel the bulk of Combine stuff within our new Combine art style, and the end goal, of course, is to remodel every NPC in the game.
Kiko Ano asks, was the warehouse area a challenge to player clip due to the mobility of the Tau cannon?
I don't think we've done a lot of player clipping just for the sake of the tower cannon. I think there is some to prevent really obvious and easy sequence breaks. But one thing we notably nerfed quite early with the tower cannon was its vertical height. So if I charge up the tower cannon to its absolute maximum... Okay, well that wasn't a good test. If I charge up the tower cannon to its absolute maximum, take 2, that's as high as it'll go, right? Obviously it's still got its horizontal force, so it can still be used quite good for speedrunning through levels, if you really want to. But as it stands, although it does enough vertical height to still be worth it in some instances, I used it to some effect earlier on in this map, during the surface side fight. We don't expect player clipping to be as big of an issue with these changes, and we made these changes because we realized every single map after this would have had to be player clipped to hell and back, and at that point, why even allow the mechanic? So we just nerfed the mechanic.
Green Man asks, if we face Combine guards, how will we defeat them?
We have some ideas based off of how the Combine guard looks like it was meant to work in the beta and what we have evidence for. But I'm sure we'll put a spin on it like we always do, and I don't want to give any answers until we're ready for that.
Boom Donuts 999 asks, any plans to recreate the beta concept where Mossman is holding Alex hostage while Gordon is aiming at the console?
I mean, Elena is a bad person in the RTBR story, but I don't think we should go into detail on how that's exactly going to play out. And also, I think it would be a bit challenging to execute the exact same poses as seen in the concept art, especially because you are not viewing Gordon from a third-person perspective. You're viewing him from the first-person perspective. So.
Cursed Paladin asks, what do you think about including the long jump module in gameplay?
We have no plans to do anything like this.
And last question I wrote down, but I saw there's more in the chat ever since we started reading questions, but I'll ask it anyway. Cursed Paladin asks, will Division 3 feature open areas with the buggy?
Yes, we'll have a couple of Jeep maps before the depot. Okay, we're going to stop there for now and kick on with the demo. Because currently we're at a rate of about an hour per map, which is a little less time than I was... a little less progress than I was hoping to make in this time.
I'm gonna start logging new questions now. Keep them coming, folks.
Well, we don't have to talk about the weapons anymore.
Yeah,
out of the way.
true.
That's probably the big bulk of them.
Yep, exactly. So this map was blocked out by Suxar, art passed in part by Suxar, and then the rest of the art passing was conducted by RZ, Ima, and a bit of Mill 260 filling in places as well. So, Suxar, would you like to talk about the blockout process of this map?
Yeah, sure. Of course. I know how to start.
Should we start from the start of the map then? Should we start from this room here and go from there?
Oh, yeah. I thought, what... introduction to the rest of the map should contain some of combat I know. After that, a little break with some crates, item crates, yeah. That room, yeah. I thought it was will be very odd to add regular door
no target on
before the. Oh, all right. Before the combine door. But it works, I guess. This room, I don't know. Just another combat. I very like combat, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to come back through this door and turn off no target.
Can I say hello to my friend in Russian?
Yeah, go for it.
Леха, здорово. Как тебе новая Волга? Alright.
All good?
All good, yeah.
Cool. And do you want to talk... Sure. And do you want to talk about the art passing a bit as well, seeing as these first couple of rooms are art passed by yourself?
Firstly, SCP Gaming was assigned.
Oh yes,
to
SCP
this
was also
room.
helping you with this initially,
Yeah,
wasn't he?
yeah.
Yes.
So I took the his style with these concrete textures with stripes, yellow stripes, yeah. And I thought it will be cool to something inhuman designs. I don't know. Probably this should be a bunker. Old bunker, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of it used to be a military base. Yeah, it makes sense for a lot of this
Yeah.
to use the bunker textures. Yeah.
So some of geometry and structures is I tried to do this is fuck. Oh, I'm sorry. I tried to make it more inhuman. And if you look in this room where you now, it contains combined textures behind the walls. Yeah.
Yeah. At places where the Combine has retrofitted the base for their own use. So we've got this grenade crate. This was already in Division 2. There we go. Blow off the door of its hinges. And come up on this combat encounter here.
Oh, beer room.
Yeah. I always like the idea here with the with all the glasses that are on the shelves with the emplacement gun. It gives it a very destructive vibe when we click this button here when we take the emplacement gun for ourselves.
Yeah, I think this is satisfying. Or satisfying, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite fun to just shoot all the bottles. Charge up the towel cannon before we move on. Oh, hello. Got by a little cheekily, didn't you?
I love this little thing.
Get a nice big supply of ammo right before moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first time Joseph's cans have been in a release?
It might be.
I think it might be. There you go. I think we showed these in an update some time ago, but these are the revised cans that Joseph made for RTBR. They have the C on them instead of the B for the console's private reserve. And they come in all the same colors as Half-Life 2's.
The red and the blue here looks very much like the Team Fortress red and blue.
It does, doesn't it? Okay. Let's keep progressing. We're about to get introduced to our principal ally in this section. There's a little bit of Aiden stuff. Has Aiden popped in whilst you've been streaming, or is he not here?
No.
Okay, we'll talk about Aiden's stuff a little bit then whilst we're here. But after this...
Want some more? Huh? Gordon! I wasn't expecting you so soon. Sorry about that. Eli's somewhere in this place. The Combine adapted it from an old naval base. But it's more alien than any part else these days.
You should turn on subtitles.
Oh yeah, I should, shouldn't I? That'd be wise.
Get us through here.
We'll kill these guys. There we go. Okay, so, obviously this is our introduction to Alex as a combat companion. In Div 2, she wasn't really a combat companion. You got given her gun and then you had to defend her to get to use her weapon for a little while. There is quite a lot of work that went into making her navigation in these maps, and some would say there is quite a bit of work that still needs doing. But yes, getting an ally to follow you throughout a whole map without any issues can be complex. She has a lot of dialogue and sequences, and we did a lot of extra drafting of new dialogue as a response to testing, where Tessa felt like there wasn't quite enough characterization of her. So there's a lot of extra little quips and stuff which we didn't have prior to testing. I think maybe we're probably, I guess, weighing a little too heavily on Half-Life 2's characterization, just carrying over. But like I've explained earlier, our goal is to make something that stands on its own if you haven't played Half-Life 2. And so obviously, with Alex, that means giving her some of her own quips to work with. Okay, before we move on, we have a Combine prop here. So I think we're going to see 2 of Aiden's props. Actually, I think there might be some emitters in here. No, there's some generators. I know there was emitters in a previous room, but I've walked past it now, so we're just going to go.
Also, for the person who asked how Alex got in here, it's the room that you just exited there, basically. You can see that she absolutely wreaked havoc there. Not there, I think it was the room previous.
Yeah. So you can see she's probably come through this door here, killed these soldiers.
She slid the box under there and somehow, I guess, got a forklift to fall over on somebody, so she had some fun in this room.
Yeah. Given the big smudge here, maybe it was an explosion or something she set off. That sent the forklift on its own. And then from here we see a couple of other dead soldiers. Then here she may have, maybe through here there's a supply room, or she just heard more movement and decided to lie in wait for the soldiers. So between you, Alex, and the Antlions, the Combine is really not having a good day. The depot is under pretty heavy assault. So this is one of Aiden's props here that he's modeled on the team. We've shown this already, but this is the first release it's been in. This is a remodel of the Combine energy fences, basically. He's also remodeled the Combine emitter prop, which we'll see very shortly too. And this is following in the footsteps of Val, whose work with the helicopter, the GR9, sentry turret, and so on, helped kind of set the standard for our Combine art. And so all the remodeled props that we have been doing in our art style have kind of been taking cues from that. And then Aiden has also, of course, brought his own designs to the making in executing some of these props as well. Okay. Let's progress onto the elevator.
Guessing you stormed the front gates, huh?
So here Alex just kind of watches us as we go up this vent. Over the vent crawler is Gordon. This is probably my favorite of the redrafts we did following playtesting for characterizing her a bit more.
Not everything has to be event crawl, Gordon.
Just turn up the volume a bit again. And now for one of the, I would say probably one of the most gorgeous vistas in these depot maps. I think it's quite nice that every depot map has a vista. Depot Yard, of course, has the crate room. Depot 1, this lovely new chasm area, which was blocked out by Suxar back in the day, and it was an ambitious idea when it was blocked out, really. Delivering on the art part of an area like this was always going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think Ima and Ozzy, who assisted Ima with this area, both kind of rose up to that challenge very well, and in so doing created a really iconic area.
We brought on Ima because I think when he applied, he showed off a lot of his maps, and we like immediately saw his usage of scale in his maps, and he is just incredible at doing large scale things and having that kind of mind for big rooms. Because some of the stuff that he showed us was absolutely gigantic, and we were like immediately like we know exactly where he would thrive here.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of really great like kind of sort of liminal space giant like areas. There's a what is it? There's a manga which is like set in like a giant factory that's impossibly huge. I can't remember what it's called now. I don't know if that rings a bell with anyone. But a lot of his work looked very much like that, and that fits really well here.
I can't seem to get around the grid here.
Blame, that's it. Thank you, some dog dude.
Hang on a sec. I've got something.
I'm not sure if Ima was specifically inspired by Blame, but when I saw this area and how it was, when I saw Ima's initial work, I'll let Alex talk for a second.
I'll clear the way to them and keep the bridges from turning off under your feet. You free the boards, and we'll have our ticket past this field. Go get him, Gordon.
So, like I was saying, I'm not sure if Ima specifically took inspiration from Blame or not, but when I saw his application work to the team and also this stuff here, it was like, oh yeah, I can see it myself. But... okay, let's progress.
Something that might get overlooked here, but I want to talk about, is the soundscape.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So, soundscape in here is a bit... yeah, the soundscape out in the chasm, I made from scratch. I made all of the sounds in it, except for some of the Citadel sounds, but I kind of added like this... I wanted to have that kind of sound of the turbines running, and then on top of that, I put the... I made this kind of vague, like almost like mechanical heartbeat, and you'll hear that in a couple of the other soundscapes in this map in particular. But I wanted this kind of whole area to feel kind of alive, and have this kind of pulsing. But yeah, I made another soundscape. We'll see later as well, that had a lot of kind of work put into it. But this one is one that I really wanted to nail, because I wanted this whole area to feel very, very large and kind of otherworldly.
Yeah. We intend to explain earlier on in the division, before you come on your way to the depot, or at least someone will state that the purpose of the depot is actually one of the facilities the Combine used to extract water from Earth. And so the implication with these giant cylinders here is these are part of the pumping machinery that is extracting the water and pulling it around the place. These are either powering it or directly playing a part in the extraction process. So a little known fact that maybe has only been realized if you played this demo more than once, which maybe most people haven't, is you can rescue these vaults in any order, and they actually have new and unique dialogue depending on in which order you rescue them. Right now we're just going to rescue them 1 and then 2. But you can go ahead, and if you rescued 1 and 2 and didn't know this, you should try playing this map again and rescuing first the second Vortigaunt, then the first one, to get some extra unique sequences out of it.
saw somebody comment about the voice acting for the Vortigaunt. Yeah, that was Bodit and me. He voiced the first one that you see here, and then I voiced the second one.
Yep, and we will be able to quiz both Amicus and Flash on their respective directions in just a moment. Since we will be rescuing the first fort, which is Bodhi's fort, in just a second. Alright. The reintroduction of Chromatus here is pretty handy. We like the idea of this enemy being a new addition to the arsenal that's kind of allows for a similar enemy progression to something like Doom, where obviously we introduce the Chromatus as a boss fight that's to be feared in Division 1 when your best weapon is the SMG or maybe the cooked grenades. By now the player has a pretty healthy arsenal behind them, and so we're now introducing them rather as just as tougher enemies, much like how Doom will, for example, introduce something like the Mancubus on its own, and then follow up with Mancubi being a supportive and very dangerous enemy when put together with the common mooks that you see. So before we release the Vort, we'll take a little look around here. So if I get the angle something like this is actually based off a piece of concept art. He's kind of...
There's a lot of Joseph's work right here.
Yes, a lot of Joseph's work.
And then RZ's as well.
Yeah, Joseph's RZ's work getting this whole thing together and looking very lovely all together. For the Vorticells, there's another custom soundscape here too, isn't there, Amicus?
Yep. So a lot of this is I made a bunch of kind of really alien sounding. I used some kind of alien sounding, I guess, tribal instruments that are really subtle, and then I throat sang 2 separate different bits. And then I made a bunch of different Vortigaunt kind of chants and stuff like that. So it all comes together into this almost sounding like a bit of a symphony of Vortigaunts, all chanting through this one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Achilles, for the donation, even though you are on the team. I should have mentioned this. Thank you, Achilles, for the donation, even though he's part of the team. But I just want to point out that these streams and our videos are monetized. We do not pocket any of this money. It all goes to charity. The charity we're likely to donate to coming up, this would be our second charity donation, is going to be either suicide prevention or gamers outreach. So we'll see one way or the other. But if anyone wants to donate at all, it will be much appreciated, and it will be going towards a good cause. Otherwise, just watch the videos, and if you want to use an ad blocker, that's also totally fine. YouTube puts ads on your videos anyway once you reach eligibility, so it's like, why don't we repurpose it and use it for a good cause instead of YouTube just getting all the money, because it's not like they need it. So yeah. Okay, so we're going to free this fort now. Custom animation there from Amicus, I think.
We feel the vortessence once more. We are in the free man's debt. Lead on.
So there's Flash's Vort. Let's kill these soldiers, and then let's get Flash to talk about that voice acting. I think there's one more. Let's delete the Vort around here so you can take a go at zapping them, or the console. I don't know if that's going to help much, mate. Come on. Come on. There we go. You got 1, 2. You want to get this third one for me? There we go. Alright. Okay, so, Flash, lay it on me.
I had a lot of practice with Vortigaunt voices, considering that I also voiced one for the previous division. The inspiration behind the voice is sort of trying to do a middle ground between the performance given by Louis Gossett Jr. and the performance by Tony Todd, although I am personally very much biased towards Tony Todd and try to lean into that a bit more. Otherwise, there's not much more to talk about. It is a grueling process to get it right. It takes a lot of warming up and practicing and figuring out the inflections and everything, but it is actually a really nice bit of fun because the way Vortigaunt's talk is very unique and almost mystical and fantastical in nature, so it is very enjoyable to get the words out, but very hard on the throat to actually exclaim them.
Alright. We'll hear yet more from Flash's Vort once we play the rest of this sequence here in this division. So for now, we're going to lead him to Vort number 2.
Odit, give us your best Galunga.
Galunga! Very impromptu.
There's the line. Now we just need a gif of you doing
Say the line,
pursuit
Bart.
dance or whatever.
Say the line, Bart.
Yeah, that was Bodit's one, or Flash, previously known. My one is coming up here. I'll give you
I
guys a
went through a
Galunga when
rebrand.
we get to that one.
Yes.
Everybody's chanting, say Galunga.
I find the Vorts are quite good combat companions of how readily they dispatch soldiers. It's quite cool to fight alongside them.
Most of them too.
Yeah. A bit close there. Might need to look for some health after this. There we go. Here's the second Vort room.
Same soundscape in here as well.
And here's actually Aiden's emitter prop here. So we use this emitter prop quite a lot. Particularly we like using it with a red light and either a spotlight or a sprite at the point of the red there. It's just a really, for me, it's a very simple but iconic Combine prop. Great for detailing Combine walls and that sort of thing. I mean, Valve must have agreed because they remade it for Half-Life Alyx, which was nice to see. So yeah, a little fact before we free this second Vort. An earlier design for this map had you killing the two Vorts in the Vorticells basically to deactivate the reactors, similar to what happens in Underground. Now we've had a little bit of a shift in opinion since we did that Underground puzzle, and we no longer want to kill Vorts in this mod. We like Vorts too much. We think they're generally pretty hard done by the Combine, and it feels bad to be responsible for killing them. So we took out the killing the Vorts, made them into allies instead, which ends up being more fun in gameplay anyway, having a couple of very tough Vorts with you. And we expect to retool the Underground sequence to allow the Vorts to go in peace. The Vort to go in peace instead of him getting killed by the machine. See the animation by Amicus again?
Freedom! At last! We are thankful for the free man's aid. Now we aid him in turn.
There we go.
So my
So that was Amicus's Vort.
my Vortigaunt, I like to really go into those kind of deep gravelly tones that they have, especially in the Tony Todd version, and kind of just really lean into that, like really, I guess, guttural voice that they have, because that's kind of already my specialty. For those that don't know, I voice act Father Gregory as well, so that's kind of already in my wheelhouse of my voice. But getting into the kind of low gravelly voices and going Galunga, that kind of shit, is just stuff that I absolutely love. So yeah, it's just kind of riffing off of Tony Todd's one for this one. The thing. He said the thing.
Well, there you go. We're going to lead on now. These two Vorts will be our entourage on our way back to Alex.
Another thing that's fun about this as well is we're trying to go with an approach of having the Vortigaunt have multiple voices, because having them all have the same voice is a bit samey, and doing different approaches for each one is just kind of gives them more individuality, despite them being a hive mind, basically. Or not hive mind, but having sort of a mutual, I guess. They almost have the internet in their brain.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had about Vortigaunts and the Vortessence is it sort of shares a lot of touching points with Buddhism, with how we're all sort of connected and weaved of the same tapestry, and we're all basically just contributing to the same organism.
So the Vortigaunts actually used to leave you here, but at least one of the things I thought, and I'm sure a couple playtesters thought as well, is like, what if they just kind of helped you out the rest of the map here?
Yeah, then you got to have 3 allies with you, Alex and 2 Vorts, a little hero squad to go off and kill a few more Combine. Oh, well that was that didn't work out.
Bodies are spent. We shall make our way from here. Let it be known Vortigaunt is keeping tally of the Freeman's exploits.
Thanks for the help. Good luck.
Another note about my approach for the Vortigaunts, but I like making them sound vaguely sinister despite being very friendly.
Okay, here's a good place for more questions. Hit me.
Yep, just typing. All right. We have 19 questions in the chamber. Let's start with Green Man asks, will Gordon wear his iconic HEV helmet for the air exchange?
No, I don't think so.
Cursed Paladin asks, any plans to include the glue-on gun in RTBR?
No. We have enough weapons like that, I think.
Cursed Paladin asks, any plans for the Hydra during the Street Wars?
We actually plan to locate the Hydra in the Arctic. So, I don't think we'll see it in the Street Wars.
Freeman asks, any ideas to further iterate AirX into the lore of RTBR?
Well, like I said before, the AirX is a recent construction in RTBR's timeline. That's why not everyone has to wear the gas masks. And that's about it as far as the lore that we're currently running with goes. We will probably indicate some more in the actual AirX as well. But that's about all we're willing to say right now.
So, this is a clarification on the previous question because we didn't understand it. The Encelados channel, brackets cooler, clarifies. In the beta, there was a character at the start that gives you a gas mask called Samuel. Because RTBR doesn't have that segment, does RTBR have plans to have Samuel instead appear before the AirX to give Gordon a gas mask?
No. We do have plans for Samuel, that's not where he is.
Neat. Tornado Gama asks, would you guys consider allowing crouch sliding to encourage increased mobility?
That's an interesting idea. I'm not sure right now, but I can't say I hate the concept, but I feel like with sprinting and tau cannons and everything, I feel like we might have enough. I feel like the player probably doesn't need more mobility. At least in our maps, we don't have much cause for this. That's
Black
kind
Mesa had a similar mechanic, but when you get the when you get the long jump module, that paired with their sliding mechanic is a little bit weird. It's a bit too much.
Freeman asks, will the Combine soldiers receive unique camo for different future environments?
Yes, we plan for the we plan for Eric's Combine to have a unique camo, and also for the Arctic/Weather Control Combine as well.
Boom Donuts 999 asks, will friendly fire be a thing like in Half-Life 1?
No.
Moneki asks, any plans to see the theropods beyond Division 3?
Yes. I think we're currently looking at integrating them into the coast maps in Division 4, so you get a little bit more from them. There's an interesting mechanic we've talked about, but not yet executed yet, but I think will be interesting as to how they play into the antlions in those maps.
Kiko Ano asks, will there be any changes to the Combine Soldier AI?
Well, probably not, because broadly speaking, the Combine Soldier is actually capable of quite a lot of things. You kind of just have to build loads of battle lines and stuff into maps to allow for them to do it. So the more likely thing is we'll just be doing more of that to make the Combine appear more intelligent, which is actually what they do in Half-Life 2 at times when the Combine appears really smart. That's really what they're doing.
Cursed Paladin asks, any plans to include Skitch in the future?
Yes.
Andres Eduardo Rodriguez Ortega asks, any rough estimates on Division 3's full release?
If I had any, you wouldn't get them, but not this year. I can say that.
Unknown Entity asks, will there be even more weapons than in the demo for the full Division 3 release?
No. Once you've gotten the Theropod, that's all the weapons in the core progression. So the most weapons you will have in Division 3 is where you are in Depot 3.
Unknown Entity asks, any news on a Captain Vance voice actor?
The thing is that Captain Vance is going to be a really important character, and so we've really been kind of taking our time hiring for him. There was a couple auditions we actually kind of liked, but the microphone quality wasn't there. And then for the ones where microphone quality was there, we weren't so fond of their take. We think probably the thing that is putting a lot of people into the wrong direction is they are emphasizing the Irishness way too much, to the extent I'm considering just getting rid of it. I really meant as an extremely mild kind of indicator, but I think that requires probably too nuanced a set of voice acting than can be reasonably expected for a hobbyist project. So we'll probably tune that out, and really we just kind of want someone that can do a decent Michael Ironside, to be honest. That's kind of what is the hope for Captain Vance. So that's why we haven't picked one up yet. We do have some fairly decent contingencies for Captain Vance. Probably, like, for example, Amicus can take a crack at it if we really get down to it, but I would really like to add new talent to the team. I really like getting new voice actors involved and to grips of things, and there's some possibilities on that front. So we'll keep an eye on the Casting Call Club page. I will probably amend it and put out a post to say, don't worry about the Irish bit, please just do a Michael Ironside impression, because that's basically what I want. We'll see what happens then. We're getting pretty close to the point where we're just going to have to make a decision on what to do, because maps with Captain Vance in them narratively are beginning to approach the end stages of Blockout, which means that we're beginning to approach a point where we could theoretically do choreography with Captain Vance, and that means we need the voice acting under control. So we'll see. There might be answers on this front sooner rather than later, but that's why it's remained open. That's why we're still hiring. That's why it's just he's really important, and we just haven't heard the exact right voice we're looking for yet. So hopefully soon.
Cursed Paladin asks, any plans for the alien assassin?
Sony would be cool. He's a very cool looking NPC, but nothing to share at this time.
Boom Donuts 999 asks, will Odessa be a character in RTBR?
No, because Odell is a character in RTBR, and I think it would be a little strange to introduce Odessa like he's Odell's lost brother or something. So I think we're probably just going to say no to Odessa, yes to Odell.
Cursed Paladin asks, any plans to have sack ticks on the Hyperborea?
I think it would be a good addition to make sure the Hyperborea had something unique going for it other than more head crabs. Nothing really to share on that front yet, but we have begun Division 5 blockouts. This is a decision we're going to be making fairly soon.
And the last queued question, Cursed Paladin asks, will Vorts be nerfed in the future?
No, they're really cool as they are, and you barely get them as a gameplay companion. So if they're overpowered for the short span of time you have them, I think that's pretty cool. Alright, we're going to progress from here.
Go for it. New questions being logged down.
So Arbab actually blocked out this map, since before Arbab was in the programming mines, he was a blockout mapper on RTBR. Arbab, would you like to talk about the blockout of this map a bit?
Yeah, so Depot 2 is mostly human, has some Combine elements, but evidently it's not very necessary to the Combine. They have other things they need to be doing with the other part of the depot. More importantly, from a gameplay perspective, I guess, it introduces Antlines as an actual threat to the depot, and it sets up for getting them in Depot 3, so you can see them sort of breaking down stuff, being elsewhere in the depot, and at the big fight at the end of the Depot 2. And yeah, well, there's a bit more, but I'll talk about them as they come around.
Sure. Art passing for this map was started off by Sordid. That's our Eli Maxwell voice actor. And from there, myself and Mil260 handled the bulk of this map.
He lies somewhere in this part of the depot, in an old Navy prison block. Breaking him out won't be easy.
Oh, to clarify, it's not me. I am Amicus. I'm not the one that's reading the questions. The other one is Bodit.
I am Bodhi, and I am doing the questions. Hello.
The Super Vortio Bros.
Yeah, so you see the Antlines invading the depot and getting in.
That whole sequence there was kind of a pain to get the antlion to actually run away afterwards and continue down the hallway.
Come on, Alex. No time for screwing around. Oh, man.
but their heads are real heavy. Only thing I remember is whatever's under that suit isn't human anymore. Not sure it ever was.
So the writing there was something that I brought up a while back of maybe we mentioned something like along the lines of hinting at Alex having worked at the cremator factories when she was younger, prior to not living in City 17 anymore.
Okay. Now, for what it's worth, she doesn't say anything about these stalkers, which I know might seem a little odd. That's because these are... Okay, let me sort out these guys. That's because in the long term, these are actually going to be stripped soldiers. We didn't have stripped soldiers ready just yet. Doesn't necessarily preclude Alex from saying something about it. But probably these are going to be stripped soldiers. That's what they were originally. We made them into stalkers since they still fit in thematically, but we didn't quite have the model for stripped soldiers ready yet. Therefore, entrenching a line in here with Alex talking about the stalkers doesn't make sense if we're going to replace them with soldiers again at some point. So yeah, that'll be the idea there. Fun little fact whilst we're here is, oh, I missed one sprite before. Oh well, now we know. Fun little fact whilst we're here is, this is actually a Beta Borealis generator prop that was retextured by one of our playtesters, Blue, to actually give us something here. I like kit bashing, and I thought this kit bash looked kind of nice as a combine-y thing, so...
Hey, Carl, go to the lever room, but just don't, but just watch the soldiers that go under the shipping container. Don't push, yeah. So they walk onto the ship, under the shipping container, as a sort of incentive for you to get to push the lever, and...
I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
Like, we've got you now.
I thought that was the case. I was like, they I seem to be able to squish them quite often.
Yeah, I thought
okay, that makes sense.
But of course, once you do that, oh, we've got a hunter to deal with in very close quarters. The reason why you can take out the Tau Cannon even when you have no ammo is, of course, you can charge it from suit charges. It's the only weapon that works this way. There's a little bit of functionality that was needed there.
I'll keep an eye behind us.
Thanks, Alex. Anything to say about this puzzle, Arbab?
Well, it's a fairly, I would say it's like fairly standard evolution of, not an evolution, but it's like an offshoot of the Valve puzzles that you normally have, where you put X into Y to sort of do Z. I want to sort of have an elevator that you sort of take up, but I didn't, and I think it took me a while to figure out a puzzle, but yeah, basically, if you block a door with a prop, the door just sort of goes back up, as evidenced by the signs, you know, don't block them. Yeah. And Alex just sits there like a dummy, just looking out of the corner.
There's Eli. Let's go. Go get him. I'll get this door open.
So we have some more particle effects here, this time some worker related stuff. You guys can see this for now, and then I'm going to set off the other one, and then it's going to be Random Cat's turn to talk. And just on our way past, we have some electrical boxes here that are additions by Joseph, and some of these electrical boxes, this one up here is by Mars. So this is adding towards our goal, of course, of being a total conversion. And electrical boxes are used so commonly that remodeling them has a pretty high impact on the different visuals. Alright, so now that we've minced that lot of guys, I'll go back here. And Random Cat, go for it.
Alright, so these are two little silly things I was sort of tasked with at one point. Previously there were just during development, a green smoke volume. So I was tasked with replacing that with something bespoke and interesting. So this melted hole here. There's 3 layers here. There's there's acid sort of dripping down, the detailed ones. It uses the trail renderer, so they appear to kind of stretch as they fall down, which I think looks neat. There's some vapor. It uses the Vista smoke material. So if you look closely, it looks really dynamic and animated, while just not really having any performance impact. There's also lastly little glowing droplets, if you look at the ground there, that I did to just make it feel a bit more like it's part of the world, you know? That's about that for that. And then this one's silly. It's what the hell? Oh, there we go. This one is very funny. You could almost call it over-engineered because there's a lot of layers to it. I forgot about something, the other effect. This one, there's something, I think the most technically interesting thing about this is how I got the particles to appear in this sort of arch shape. So one of the standard functions that the particle system has is initializing the position in randomly within a sphere, which is used very commonly, but it's also very configurable. So here I configured it to... So firstly I made it flattened. I adjusted the bias so that it's flattened on the local x-axis. I also made it so it only puts particles in the upper hemisphere of the sphere. So I think the actual origin, it might be on the ground. I don't remember. Probably not actually, but. And then lastly I used the warp initializer to sort of scale it a bit vertically to sort of roughly fit the frame. So that's that. Back to the door getting destroyed. I think my primary inspiration for this was it's meant to look like a very violent chemical reaction. It's like you got this flashing. It's like something is really rapidly eating away at the door. There's a layer of particles that appears to sort of engulf the door, which is sort of meant to imply the acid sort of crawling up it and eating away at it until it's completely dissolved. Then the door disappears and then they fall down. Of course, there's a lot of this mist, also uses Vista smoke, and something funny is there's also a layer of some on the ground there you can see, which it's kind of like they spill out from under the door frame or something like that. Probably all I have to say on that. It might be a good time to also talk about the ant lines getting exploded and what that looks like.
Yeah.
So but there's mostly nothing to say on them. There's like this really, like a sort of like spraying of goop and stuff. But there's one interesting thing, which is like the so both regular antlions and the antlion workers, you can see there, they spray like these sort of trail things everywhere, which I just thought looked really interesting. And regular antlions also have them, but they're more like if you shotgun an antlion, a regular one, you will see that. A regular one, not a worker, please, if you will. Well, good job.
Well, they just all happen to not gib. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta really meat shot them. There we go. See, you can see those like ropes spraying everywhere. They're meant to be kind of like entrails, and they collide with the world. They're very janky, but I think they add to the gore in like a very satisfying way. So then the antlion worker ones are like an evolution of that to look a little bit more volatile. Like it's kind of the same visual motif, but it's something different. So yeah, all right, moving on then.
Thank you, Teddy Saw, for the donation. Teddy Saw is also on the team, but thank you very much. Alright, so this is our surface side battle. This is probably the big vista and the big fight in this map. There's a lot going on here. So we're going to do this fight once, and then maybe we'll no clip to the side and watch it like an NPC battle. And thank you again, Akilos, for another donation. Okay, so that is the full encounter. So I guess first we'll talk about the visuals a bit. So I initially art passed this topside area and took a lot of inspiration from not only the Nova Prospect surface area, but also from we've got hostiles and the surface tension parts of both Half-Life 1 and Black Mesa. Then Ima later also came in and updated the art path further. He introduced the depot there. That's why it's not there in the trailer, because that was done after the trailer footage was recorded. And he also introduced this skybox here, which is a little peek at what the wasteland will look like. So yeah. Is there anything you want to talk about the design of this section, Arbeb, whilst I'll go in with no target and then
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just wanted to sort of like have a really big three-way battle because I didn't think there were a lot of that in retail, but also like the guard towers very clearly inspired by. If you look at that palette, they were clearly inspired by the prisoner.
Sorry, go on, Abed.
Yeah, so the guard towers are inspired by the prison area just before you get into Nova Prospect proper, and that low detailed guard tower on the right. That one. I'm fairly certain that's from one of the later VMFs, just a bit modified. Because I thought those guard towers looked pretty cool, and I wanted to have an excuse to put some in. But yeah, this is more of like a landing pad, as evidenced by that H, for the upcoming prison block. So this is where the Combine keep their detainees.
Alright. I'm just gonna finish all of these guys off. And then we'll progress. Okay.
He's gotta be.
There used to be a puzzle here with a grenade and the pipe, so what you would do is... there's no grenade crates here, but you see that valve on the pipe? You would have to turn that on and chuck a grenade at the gas, and it will blow up the prison door and allow you to go through. I'm not sure exactly what that was removed.
We received testing
sure you know
feedback
that.
that indicated we should get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
So let's progress through here.
Alex.
Dr. Maxwell! Let me get you out of there. Are you okay?
Oh, nothing 40 winks and a nice cup of coffee won't fix. And some experimental healing treatments in a cutting-edge lab. But I'm not the only one that needs help. Free us! We shall see you through to a safer ingress.
I still love Sordid's performance to this day.
Yeah, the voice actor for Maxwell is Sordid Spectacle, who is not here right now, but he is very, very good as Eli Maxwell.
I'm happy to help anyone who can, but getting all of us out of here, hurt and all, won't be easy.
This body can assist. The Antlions have grown restless with their monarch's demise. They seek a new figurehead. Come, we shall make one of the freemen.
God, Gordon, that was you? Well, go on then. I better not get in your way.
This is Vortigaunt here. I voiced and I tried to give him a different voice from the previous one.
In our history, we know of means to absolve us of danger. One of their finest specimens. A pack leader of their own. Alas, this one is all but spent. We shall make it so. The pack will follow
This
me now.
sequence is a placeholder, the guard in there. We've answered this a few times on our Discord, but a dedicated animation is going to be whipped up. I just wasn't ready for the time of the demo.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not going to be left like that. We already have a plan in mind that will be addressed. I think this says something to just elaborate that the point of a demo is that there are going to be things that are rough, but like we know about these things in advance. The important thing is like so a lot of the gameplay stuff. We needed to test weapon functions and gameplay and that sort of thing, and we needed to also see how the visuals generally were received in maps and that kind of thing. But refinements like this can wait for the full release. And the Division 2 demo was very much the same, which I don't necessarily expect people to remember because that was 2 years ago. But this is the function of our demos. We know this and we ship with it knowingly. So it's not unusual for us.
Yeah, we no way looked at that and went, yeah, this is good. That's final.
This is the Theropod. This is modeled by Andy, animated by Silent, and there are some particle effects by Random Cat to talk about, but we'll do that in the next map when we actually get to use
the
it.
rest of this self to unbar your way. The freeman must persist. The Atlians will follow him.
If you're sure. Thank you.
We won't forget it. Hurry, now, whilst the way is clear. Go, Gordon. We'll make it count.
Okay, so before we get into the next map, shall we do some more questions?
We have 14 questions queued up. Let's begin. Ace Bex asks, would there be any chance at all for a sort of episode 1 or 2 for RTBR beyond the initial campaign?
No.
Jason Lore asks, will there be more Combine Soldier variants in the future?
We do plan to have a gunner, and we plan to make the NPC and the sniper an actual NPC. But yeah.
Just a cheeky plug here, but if you're looking for more RTBR content, Salvation is out as well.
Yes, we won't be doing the episodes because one, making more after RTBR is not really on the cards for us, and two, because the RTBR story will be fairly self-contained, but we are doing these spin-offs as a means of expanding the world of RTBR beyond just the main game, and yes, Salvation is the other one that is currently playable, so you can go ahead and play that if you so fancy. And we have Triumph, which is still a work in progress.
Unknown Entity asks, any plans to include the Get Your Free TVs line in RTBR?
No.
Green Man asks, when fully converted into a Combine Soldier, what else is replaced with synthetics besides the eyes?
I mean, this is a bit of a theorizing question, best saved for talking yourself. I would just say, obviously, the Combine Soldiers probably have, radios and that sort of thing embedded to make it easier for them to communicate and so on.
The question also asked about robot legs, but I guess, yeah, it is within the realm of speculation, that's the word. The Enceladus channel brackets cooler asks, is there a difference between the dark and green cremators besides visuals?
No. The purple ones are a reference to the cut appearance of the Half-Life Alyx ones, but they always function the same.
Cursed Paladin asks, any plans for more synth enemies like the Crab, Mortar synths, and so on? Will they drop unique weapons that fill Gordon's arsenal?
We would like to do the Crab synths as a kind of Strider class enemy, but we are not going to give them any weapons the player can use, and we have no plans for the Mortar synth at this time.
Teddysaur asks, will there be combat stalkers?
Yes, I think we said before that we want basically there to be two different types of stalker. The maintenance stalkers, which will function like episode 1 variants, and the combat stalkers, which will function more like their beta variants. Combat stalkers will be introduced in Division 4 and 5.
Cursed Paladin asks, will you be remaking the Hazard 01 obstacle course for RTBR?
It's already in an Easter egg in Underground in Division 1. Otherwise, we are probably not remaking the Hazard things, at least not right now.
Moneki sort of asks, is the blue antlion worker spit based off of antlions as they appear in HLA?
Maybe a little bit, but I think part of the discussion was actually that having introduced a lot of orange into proceedings and using green around the place for other visual elements. We thought introducing blue spit for the antlines might make them stand out a little bit more and add some more color variety to some of the antline areas.
Freeman
Just
asks,
a little bit of
Go on.
color theory is, and just like, I guess, just usage of color in general is because the main kind of color motif of antlions in R2BR, as you can see in like Minetown, for instance, is orange. The polar opposite of orange on the color wheel is going to be a blue. So, kind of those contrast of colors kind of makes each other look cool.
Freeman asks, any ideas how you guys plan to make weather control interiors, gameplay sequences in the Arctic, etc.?
We've discussed some stuff, but we are not going to be revealing anything here and now.
Cursed Paladin asks, what inspired having the G-Man be more hidden and covert instead of having him be obviously stalking you, like in Half-Life 1?
Well, the easy answer there is Half-Life 2.
Moneki asks, has it been thought out how the gang will end up in the Arctic regions?
So the idea will be to rendezvous at Kraken base, narratively, and from there, return to City 17, having regrouped their forces, basically, and made a plan. Obviously, things will not quite go according to plan at Kraken base, but that's the idea.
Cursed Paladin asks, any plans for that Combine Worm soldier enemy from the concept art?
No.
Freeman asks, will Gordon travel from Arex to Borealis by train, teleporter, or jeep?
After the Arex, the player will use a jeep to get to the edge of the coastline, and from there we'll take air transport to the Arctic.
And that's all the queued questions.
Okie dokie, let's go. Depot 3, final map.
Be right back.
All good?
I love Flash's big sequence here.
Yeah, so this map was art passed for about the first third or so, and then throughout as well. So the first third is very strongly Bodhi's, and then there's evidence of that throughout as well. Then Lambda and I took it after that point, wrapped up a few of the Combine areas in the later half of the map, taking strong reference from Bodhi's initial work.
Yes. Should I talk about it?
You sure can.
Cool. Well, there were original concepts in the blockout. I had to refurbish them. This area in particular I am very proud of because I had to combine a prison command post alongside it being taken over by the Combine, alongside it being taken over by antlions. So this section had to feature a lot of different intertwining themes, and I used a lot of different colored lights to achieve that. And I'm particularly proud of the Combine monitor, which is essentially a camera which I use as a unique form of light for the Combine, because teal is not a very common color.
Yeah. So whilst we're here, Random Cat, if you let's talk about the bug bait a bit. So the first time pickup animation again. I'm not sure if it actually does it. I think it does do a little unique effect here. No, it's just animation. Okay, so again, Silent animated this, and he animated it very well. It looks very freaky and squishy. And the tentacles are, of course, moving around in the holes. Excuse me. Even in the idle animation. Meanwhile, if I squeeze it, you can see all the lovely little tentacles come out of the holes. And we have some of the particle effects that Random Cat has used. And then I'm going to throw it. Some unique effects too. So, Random Cat, take it away.
So of course, as you said, this thing is disgusting entirely by design. So I did my best to layer onto that. I put a lot of effort into like making like the complementing the wishing motion, like really making it look like stuff was spraying out of there and being all disgusting. You get a bunch of like gross mist and the spores in your face, which is disgusting. They're especially visible if you hold them up to a light, which you were actually doing there a bit ago, which was very lucky. And the fidget animation, one of the fidget animations also has it, so if you will, yeah, this one, he smacks it and yeah, it does that. As if it wasn't disgusting enough, you know. I leveraged my talent to make it worse.
I'm back.
And the impact effect also responds to lighting, so if you like throw it into a light at the like right placement, you'll see it's a lot brighter. Also when you like get it right up into the light, then it's you can kinda see it. Yeah, I think that's about it for that.
Alright. Let's progress. Arbo, do you want to talk about the design of this map at all?
Yeah, I was gonna say like, the design of this map is basically it gets more combiney as you progress through the map. It starts like a blend of human combine, and it turns into completely combine as you progress through the map. I wanted to give a sense of progression as the player went through, make it feel like the environment was changing as well. And also, I wanted to use ant-mans more than just add cannon fodder or like extra minions to like sick at enemies whenever you feel like it, because I didn't feel like they were utilized to the fullest extent in retail. So I designed a few puzzles around using the ant mines. Some of them were hits, and a few were very, very big misses. But yeah, there'll be more as we go along as well. But yeah, that's just a general overview of how I designed the block out of this map.
Somebody said the Pharopod looks like an ocarina to me. That's actually very accurate.
I see it. Yeah, I can see it.
I wonder if you could play it like an instrument if you blew into that top left nub.
A big thing that I really like about our take on this outline section is we get to control workers, and a not insignificant amount of workers at once. We've got 3 workers here, which is quite a bit of artillery for what's coming up. Well,
-1.
Well, that was very clever, wasn't it, mate?
Oh.
Oh, don't worry about that.
So
we gotta implement proper ragdolls for them.
Yeah.
This big cavern area, I guess I was gonna talk about it, but like the big silos were inspired by the Loot BMFs. Originally this was going to be just a cave with a big bridge in it, but I felt that was too boring, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what it should be, and then it sort of just hit me when I saw these silos in a bunch of water, and I'm like, why couldn't this be like, this could explain like why all the water is gone, or partially why all the water is gone, you know, some of it's going to the depot for whatever nefarious and dastardly purposes the Combine used it for.
Where'd they all go?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I'm just trying to gather all of them in one place. Yeah, sorry, as you were.
Oh no, that's pretty much it. I also really love how Lambda did the caves here. They look really amazing.
Yeah, Lambda did really good work with the caves throughout this map.
look up as well.
For those unaware, like kind of rocky cliff faces and things like this are done with what are called displacements in Source, and they are incredibly hard to manage. So it is
no,
it's a kind of a feat to be able to do something this crazy with it.
I lost another one of the damn workers. Oh.
Sucks to say.
Am I gonna get any more? I started here with, I think, like 8 antlions or something, but I just think they're not... I think I just ended up losing them all to the water. God's sake. Right. That's fine. 5 antlions is good. Let's go. Because we get a couple more here anyway.
I was going to say one of the inspiration pieces for the silo area was also an underground water purification facility from Sweden, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So there was a lot of real life places that were used to art past these sections.
I've got... Well, this is probably the most antlions I've had in one go before, I think. Jesus.
You'd have even more, too, if you didn't lose any.
Yeah, I would have a couple more. Let's go see how many I can keep alive.
The boys.
Hey, here they come. Here come the soldiers. Go on, lads. In you get. Alright, there we go. Oh, we lost one antlion.
You should go to the side doors in the other room there.
Oh, yeah. In a second. There we go. Oh my god, I don't want to shoot them. I want to gather them. Here we go. So more of the outer cave. Let me go into this one too.
More great work by Lambda.
Yeah, and I've done some great work with these caves. Alright, alright, alright. Disperse. Alright, go there. Kill. Kill! Yes! Yes, my pretties. In you go. Okay, cool. There we go. Some more stuff going on here. I think this is a Depot 1 prop. So something that we gained pretty massively as a result of how much proppering we had to do to get these maps to compile is we gained the ability in later maps, and we'll gain this ability for both Div 1, Div 2 and onwards. We've just gained a giant repertoire of combine props as a result of proppering all this stuff. And it's allowed us to kind of tidy up some holes very quickly and easily. Alright, go in there. We're gonna get 4 more antlions in there. These antlions will die if they're not in there, so let's make sure they're in there. And then... Okay, cool. 5 crematas, go. Get that one. Whoa. How are these antlions doing? Oh my god, he killed them all. Okay. I guess that's what you would. I guess that's what you expect, or rather hope, from for the cremators. So it turns out one cremator can take out quite a lot of antlions, eh? So this puzzle is meant to teach you to put the antlions on top of here. We have this antlion that runs out here and does that to the player. The point bug baits on this are a little finicky, and certainly this requires some work, but I typically do this, and then I do this. Okay. Try that again. Come on. There we go. Sometimes one of them is sensible enough to go up there first. And sometimes the logic does not work. So this is one of those puzzles that's very cool in theory, but we're probably just going to get rid of this one. I think we tried to make it work, quite a lot, and it's a very cool idea, I think. The idea of using the antlines to weigh down the platform. But the trouble is that it just doesn't work reliably enough. Antlions are not really intelligent enough to make this work. If antlions were as intelligent as people are and players and all that, then I think we could probably reliably pull something like this off. But it requires a little bit too much... Oh, I almost had it there. It requires a little bit too much critical thinking, which the antlion's not capable of. So, go on the platform.
Is
There
this
we
the only
go.
physics puzzle so far?
Maybe. Anyway, right, from here we can just kill these. There we go. So, this will probably be worked into a different cremator. Into a different, sorry, not a different cremator, a different antlion. One altogether. I sense this will probably be... I sense this will probably still be you send the antlions up here and then they break something. Like later on in the map with the stalker puzzle we're going to see in a minute. Because that puzzle actually works out really well and is a very cool use of the antlions. So I sense this will probably become something like that again. But, yeah. We kind of knew that one was a bit janky. Sometimes it's worth putting an idea out like that out to the public anyway, because it's a very unique idea. It's kind of like, the useful thing would have been to see, did people still really resonate with the idea, and then therefore was it worth saving the idea, or did people not really resonate with the idea and therefore it's not really worth it? And I haven't really seen people be like, this puzzle is super cool, but it doesn't work well enough. If that had indeed been the case, then oh, it looks, maybe that only activates to an antline. Anyway, I sense if we'd seen more like that, but we haven't, so we'll probably just remove it. So that's what'll get actioned as a result of that.
As some people have pointed out in our public Discord, the inspiration for this room was indeed the Citadel core from episode 1. It was just basically slot a bunch of Combine technology in here to showcase that the Combine have a really big grip on this place. And also, with regards to the Combine Elite, it was to communicate the fact that everything here is being completely overrun by Gordon and his motley crew of antlions. There is a detail that a lot of people miss, that when you see the initial monitor, it's the Combine soldier, and when you return back to it, you just see a dead body, and the other soldier is missing.
Oh yeah, I see.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So the Elite's gone on his way, but yeah. Here's an example of one of these puzzles to do with the stalkers that I think actually works out really well. Or one of these puzzles to do with the antlions. So we have this stalker here, we have this energy field. We toss an antlion up there. And he goes and he sorts this out for us. Good boy. He then comes back. How nice of him. Alright, let's take you upstairs.
Cool little fun fact. I changed how the bug bait worked a little bit for that puzzle, just to make it easier to create. And now it's a feature in map base, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. What was the change?
Well, for R2VR, I just made its radius thing into like a bounding box, so like a big cube. So you can just toss it into the little hallway. But I also added a few more inputs and outputs to it. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Right. Let's get on with it then.
I love that they get distracted by this camera. I don't even know if that's an intentional thing, but them getting distracted by that camera is interesting to me.
Those floor textures are cool.
What, these ones?
Yeah.
I made them for another purpose and ended up repurposing them here. So this is one of the two most prominent areas in the later parts of the map that Flash mainly worked on. Flash did this whole assembly over here for the trains and also this middle train area here. When I inherited this and had to kind of wrap up the rest of the area, I kind of took those cues into mine, so I used a lot of big detail pieces like these combine walls that are used for the city walls. Used these kind of electrical fields down here. I figured that would give the player enough reason to believe this is not a safe place to be walking about. These are reusing a particle effect from Div 2 actually, and they're kind of sort of a battery, I guess, a kind of battery power for the area.
I really like the idea that you did for the electrical grid, because I was just originally just gonna make it a rocky chasm. So this is a really nice evolution on the concept.
Yeah, I started with Rocky, but as I kind of got further on with this area, I thought, like, we've seen the combine areas increase in prominence up to this point, and we've seen Rocky caverns be less and less prominent, and more that the combine are controlling it. And so then it was like, well, maybe we should have this be the first area that's just entirely absorbed by combine metal and everything. So that's where I went with that one and why.
Another fun thing about this area is the cut content for the cut content mod. Originally there was going to actually be an animated sort of like a crane in the middle that was going to pick up a train and slot it into the wall storage on the side, but due to my own limitations I couldn't really finalize that idea, so it had to be cut. But yeah, the original brushwork is still somewhere in there for the claw.
Alright. Here. Alright. Then this is the last puzzle. This used to be a puzzle involving the workers. But we struggled with teaching this to players, and so we decided a good old-fashioned shoot the thing to blow it up puzzle was the way to go. I'm going to create a save here, because there is a unique explosion effect there, which is the first time this is ever seen, which Random Cat can talk about, I suppose.
Well, I don't really have any notes down for this one, but I guess let's see. This is like a generic. Oh well. Host timescale messes with colliding particles, bouncy ones. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I made this like ages ago, I think. Now it's like a generic combine tech explosion effect. It's got like this sort of strangely colored fire. It's very bright and blue-ish. You see, there's like a lot of these like electrical bits and sparks flying about. It also has, it might be very hard to see here, but I think it also has like a unique layer of refraction. Like, there's like several rings of sorts that come out. It's hard to see there. Yeah, it is nice to see this effect finally getting some action.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to drop down here. We're going to say goodbye to our antlions, as we won't be controlling them anymore. I wanted to take a look at the floor there. This destroyed floor bit basically uses the manhack fire a few times, and then also uses some stuff from the episode 1 destroyed Citadel stuff. So, yeah. To basically indicate the destruction in the floor. Okie doke. Can I come back up here now?
Gordon, you've stirred up the hive, but, well...
My
you
pride and
were-
joy, my magnum opus for Division 3, this room.
Like the old days, huh?
Sure did. Get that field down and we'll get ourselves a ride out of here.
Yeah. So this is the last room of the Div 3 demo. Flash up past this some time ago to prepare for a sequence we shall see in a moment.
The ceiling is affectionately referred to by me as the Cathedral of Pain, because it took a lot of brushes.
Yep. Since propered, but still, yeah, this would have been a great challenge to construct, I'll bet.
I want it to have the effect that it goes on for a while above and you can't see it just from the massive scale of the complex.
Yeah. And that is the end of the Div 3 demo. So what will actually happen with that sequence? Well, we'll yet see exactly what will amount to that. But as we let the credits play over, obviously this was our first release, it's Div 2. It's a good teaser towards Division 3. I would say doesn't spoil a lot of what we think will make Division 3 very special in the environment sense. The depot is just one of the very cool and well-developed environments we are doing for Division 3 as a whole. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the rest of that is viewed and received when it comes out. Okay, so now is as good a time as any, I guess, to begin going through the questions again and to wrap up any others and then to call the stream.
We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 questions queued up. Starting with Freeman asks, will there be some kind of an HQ for conscripts where we can interact with soldiers and get some world building?
Yes, at the start of Division 4.
Mijiani69 asks, will the GR9 remain stationary?
No. We've shown it in the player's hands.
Green Man asks, will the end of the game feature new regular enemy encounters such as alien soldiers?
Unlikely to that extent. We will have some new encounters, but yeah.
Freeman asks, will the weird, eerie, scary Half-Life 2 beta sounds be added in future divisions? For example, trans6.wav.
We already used some of these sound effects elsewhere in the mod right now. So we will, I'm sure we'll find other places to use them, but we also have our own sound effects we are utilizing in places, so...
Cursed Paladin asks, any plans for the Ichthyosaur?
I think we'd like to put a reference to it because a lot of us have very fond feelings towards the Ichthyosaur. It's just not a priority for us.
It was originally in Ravenholm, and then it was cut. Shockwave 101 asks, will the bug bait receive custom sound effects in the future?
Yes.
Cursed Paladin asks, will the particle storm make an appearance again in the future? Will Gordon be able to control it like the antlions?
Gordon will not be able to control the particle storm. I'd like to say that we might utilize it somewhere else, but I don't know right now for sure.
Kikoano asks, are cremators immune to their own gun?
Yes. I don't think they can be damaged by the emulator.
Can the player do damage to them with the emulator?
No, they can't.
Ah. Moneki asks, is the plot point regarding the Combine replicating Rebel local teleport technology retained?
I don't think we've addressed that yet. So let's put a pin in that.
Cursed Paladin asks, what do you think of the idea to have the Immolator fire green fireballs as a secondary attack for more crowd control?
I think the Immolator's already rather good at crowd control because you can just sort of spam it into a crowd and hit everything once. I think what's more likely is some kind of alt-fire for the Cremator so that the Cremator itself has some longevity at long range.
And the final question, Spike Shark Gaming asks, when Gordon get a voice, question mark?
No. Do you want to go through and see if there's any questions since you started banking those, and we'll just nip through and then we'll just call it.
That last one was the last one. The other one was already answered, which was how many divisions will there be, which is answered in our public Discord, in the FAQ, and in the chat by our Babar.
Alrighty then. Well, I guess that's that. So, thank you everyone for watching the stream. We hope this has been informative as to how we made this division, why we did what we did. We expect to be seeing you in the not too distant future for more updates on the whole RTBR verse, such as Triumph, and more updates for Division 3 now that the Depot demo is out. The Depot will certainly be revised further in preparation for the full release of Division 3 and utilizing all of the feedback we have obtained as a result of the demo process. This has been very useful and has basically served its purpose of giving you guys something extra to play a little in advance, whilst also giving us plenty of feedback. So that's been very useful overall. We'd call this a very successful release on the whole, and we're very proud of it. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm sure we'll see you in a stream in the future, and in the meantime, enjoy the demo. Maybe give it another replay, see if there's anything you've missed that we talked about in this stream here. Thank you everyone, and we'll see you in the next stream. Bye-bye.
Farewell.
Goodbye.